everybody to Change TV from Change Americas. My name is Ciro Perez, and today we have a great topic to talk about. Today we have a special guest, Alex Santos from the United States. And today we want to talk about productivity and performance. Don't miss out this episode because we have a lot of advisors about yourself and your team as well. But before, we want to say hello, Alex, to Change TV again.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Alex. We are working together for the last maybe 3 or 4 months. And of course, we are talking about this field, productivity and performance. But today in Change TV, I want to deep dive in these topics. So my first question for you is, performance and productivity is the same topic or is different?
No, it's very different. Performance, when we talk about performance, we're talking about someone's potential or ability to perform a task, to complete a task, to complete a project, to complete an assignment, to a breakthrough. When you're talking about productivity, you're talking about more how much that performance means to the business.
Okay. And Alex, you are responsible, or your special field to apply as a consultant is performance or productivity or both?
It's really human resources. And as you know, human resources are what drive a business forward to achieve its mission and vision. And so I got interested a long time ago. My bachelor's degree is in psychology. So I got interested in what motivates people to perform, how to measure performance, and more importantly, not just measure performance, but how can managers and leaders at a company actually drive performance rather than passively sitting back and just allowing it to happen, however it happens. And hey, if it's profitable, it's profitable. And, if not, it is what it is, right? I found that attitude not very conducive to the success of a business. And so my specialty is really human resources, but with a passion for and a love of teaching managers how to drive employee performance to a exemplary, level.
Okay, so if I want to get a step-by-step productivity roadmap, what do you think is the first step to start to work in that field?
Sure. The first step is you have to have solid metrics and performance standards in place, right? Thirdly, you need to have a well-defined job profile for every role in your company. But once you have the job profile, you should include in there, how is that performance of that role going to be measured by management? That is the baseline. There's a saying, there's an old adage, I'm sure you've heard it before. If you don't know where you're going, you're sure to get there. Well, the same thing happens with performance. If you don't have a job description and a profile for every role in your company, including those performance standards, you don't have the tools to evaluate whether that performance was good, bad, or even profitable for the company.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Are there special, maybe special workers to describe or write a job description?
Job descriptions should be arrived at by someone in human resources working with the manager that is going to be leading that, that performance.
Okay, but are there top performers? Again, continue, please.
Yeah, no. The people that have, a lot of times, human resources people, generalists, and executives are trained in how to write job performance, job descriptions, job profiles. Some managers have had some training in that, some have not. So many times we recommend companies that job descriptions are arrived at between human resources and managers.
Okay. And continuing this field, I have a question. Do you think that performance or peak performance is a
Mhm.
goal or is a process, or what do you think about it?
Peak performance is definitely a process. It's about the journey, not about the destination. If you think of the best athletes, um, they're constantly training, they're constantly evaluating their performance. How am I doing compared to last week, compared to last month, compared to last year? And if you had a time machine and you can go forward a year, you will find that what are called exemplary performers, those peak performers that are always at the top of their game, they're constantly looking for ways to improve.
Oh,
It's a never-ending process.
and if I want to improve my performance, what is the best timeline? A week, an hour, a month, a year? What do you think?
So that really varies because there are 7 drivers of employee, of human performance, and it depends. Some interventions are relatively quick. For example, uh, if an employee tells you, hey, I could really perform a lot better, more efficiently if I had this tool or this resource or this app or this AI, and you buy it for them, you may see a high return on that investment in a relatively short period of time. However, if for example, you're working on another performance driver, which is like a training program that is 3 or 4 months to attend, and then you have to wait till that knowledge or skill that the employee just gained gets transferred back to the job, you may not see a return on that, on productivity, on that investment for 6 months, maybe more. So it really depends on which performance driver you are influencing and how quickly it gets implemented and transferred to the job.
Okay. So how many weeks do I need to wait to check or to watch a very increase in productivity?
Well, as far as like checking, you always want to do little performance checks when you're intervening in an employee's performance and you're trying something new. I recommend regular check-ins to see how it's going, to see if there are any roadblocks, any obstacles that the employee is seeing that might interfere with him being able to perform at a higher level. So it really depends.
Okay. But if you want to choose your point of view about it, 10 weeks, 20, 21 weeks, 52 weeks, or 1 week.
I mean, if you wait 52 weeks to measure an improvement, that's a really long time. that's gonna be
Definitely,
a
yes.
that's gonna be a slow ROI.
Uh, and I want to introduce technology. So, how has technology transformed the landscape of business productivity?
Um, there are some management gurus that have coined the term that we are, leaving the information age and entering what they call the exponential age, meaning technology has introduced efficiency gains and changes in organizations that are making some companies' productivity gains increase exponentially. Not slowly, not 52 weeks, not 6 months, not even 6 weeks. Some of these technologies, like AI, are predicted to more than double the average worker's productivity.
Okay, so give me. I want to talk about an example in
Hmm.
my own company. For example, about sales team.
Hmm.
If I want to improve as a closers, if I want to improve this point of the sale as a
Hmm.
closer, how technology help me to improve closers, for example.
So people that are responsible for closing the sale, right? You have to look at what skills are responsible for your employees successfully closing sales. That skill could be an employee's ability to follow up with clients. It could be their ability to handle objections. It could be their ability to ask for the close, the sale. It could be the speed. Some sales cycles are very long, some are very short. You can analyze, if you look across your sales team, um, does one of your employees, is their sales cycle much shorter than your other employees? And then you have to start asking, why is this employee able to close sales in 14 days on average, when my average employee takes 28 to 31 days? And then you can start to diagnose, okay, let me take a look at now, what is this employee doing differently? Is he faster with the CRM? Is he making phone calls, follow-up phone calls at a different time? Is he better able to establish that rapport with clients? Is he just quicker at handling objections? So you want to try and, before you start implementing tools and buying stuff, you want to try and diagnose, why is one salesperson, let's say, so much better at closing sales than the rest of your team? And you want to try and take whatever practices that employee is doing and apply them to the rest of the team and see if there's a change. But you take a look at all of those skills that your top closer is doing and look at how they're doing it differently than your other salespeople. See if transferring some of those practices to the rest of your sales team will reduce the time to close of your other sales associates. So that's just one example of one thing you can do.
You are talking about 7 drivers to improve productivity.
Yes,
Yes? Okay, so
to improve
tell me.
performance.
Okay, thank you. But can you tell me in a nutshell the 7 drivers methodology? Or I want to know more and more on a daily basis about it. And if you could tell me your 7 drivers advisors,
Sure.
please give me.
So an employee's performance depends on 7 drivers, right? Number one is their talent and fit, right? How good of a fit are they for your organization? How talented they are? That's the first driver. The second driver is skills and knowledge that they bring to the job, right? A third driver is motivation. How motivated are they to perform? Uh, an environment is the fourth driver, okay? And by environment, I mean not only the work environment where the employee has to perform the job, but also think about the employee's home environment, okay? If the employee has just suffered a big loss in their family, or is, caring for a spouse or, a wife or a husband that has cancer or something, obviously that's going to impact their performance at work. Okay. So talent and fit, knowledge and skills, motivation, environment. You also have accountability. Okay. Communication is key to getting an employee to perform, right? Does the employee know what the job is and how he or she is going to be measured on the successful performance of that job? If not, you need to look at, okay, we need to improve the clarity of the job description and how we hold the employee accountable for knowing by himself whether or not he's performing. Systems and processes is the sixth driver. Okay. What systems and processes are in place in order for an employee to perform? There are, sometimes work processes are broken. Sometimes there's too many steps in order to complete. Okay. And sometimes you can work with employees. If you can look at a flow chart of a step to perform a job, and you can reduce the number of steps by 3 or 4, that's going to lead to improved performance. And then finally, the seventh driver is tools and resources, right? What tools and resources is the employee using to perform? So when an employee performs at whatever level they're performing, those 7 drivers each play a role in that employee's performance. So how do you improve performance? You look at the 7 drivers, and working with the employee, you decide, okay, you know what? We're going to work on your tools and resources. We're going to get you that new tool or that new app or that new resource that you've been asking for to try and give your performance a boost. So let's acquire that, and then we'll measure again later on after we have implemented the tool. Let's see if there is in fact a bump in your performance. So that is how you continuously improve performance. Okay, you take a skill or a strength and you look at the 7 drivers and you say, okay, how can we pull on one of these tools to improve that particular skill or strength of the employee? And then after you do that, you go on to the next one and the next one and the next one.
Okay. So is there an assessment?
I wouldn't necessarily say that there is an assessment. There is a conversation with the employee about, the level that they are performing at, what an exemplary level of performance would look like. Like, what if you were the best in your industry at selling whatever it is that the employee's selling? What does that look like? Is that 20 deals a month? Is that 50? Is that... So there's a conversation between the manager and the employee saying, okay, you're closing 30. I think if you were the best in the industry, you could be closing 50. What can we do to try and get you closer to that exemplary level of performance?
Okay, I understand. Thank you. On the other hand, if I want to introduce or improve a lifelong learning culture in my company, is it necessary to introduce technology? What do you think about it?
If you are going to introduce lifelong learning, as a value of an organization, it's impossible to do that nowadays in 2023, in this era that we're living in, without technology. Technology allows a company to offer learning opportunities to employees that may or may not have had those opportunities in the past, right? If a company has offices worldwide, right, and you can make training to them available over the web, webinars via Zoom, such as this one, you are providing an opportunity for learn, you know, from directly wherever your headquarters are located that they may not have had before. So yes, technology is definitely a must if you're trying to instill in your company a culture of continuous learning and lifelong learning.
So Nimble Academy, tell me more about Nimble Academy. But Nimble Academy is an answer to explore a technology as a lifelong learning process, or what it means for you, Nimble Academy.
Yeah, so we created Nimble Academy as a way to scale the delivery of our training courses for specifically a management population, right? We noticed that there was an opportunity in the market, a gap in having structured online trainings that managers could take from anywhere in the world on their iPad, on their phones, wherever it was, and we want to deliver that training specifically to build better managers. And we are using Nimble Academy as the technology, the vehicle, to scale those those lifelong learning opportunities.
Uh, can I say Nimble Academy is your Netflix platform or something like that?
Something like that. Yes, it's going to have some videos. It's going to have courses. We might do some webinars through the academy. Yes, we're going to have a menu of learning opportunities, of tools, of resources, of job aids. We are going to have a whole menu of tools that managers can use to become better managers.
Okay, sounds great. And I have a question for myself, but I want
Mhm.
to know your advisor. If I want to be a lifelong learner, uh, how many hours do I need to invest in order to feel or be a lifelong learner? What do you think about it?
Oh man, that's a tough one because it depends on your availability to learn, right? Uh, but I would say it's not so much the number of hours that you put in. It's a matter of carving out a certain number of hours a week. Let's say, okay, I'm gonna take 3 hours a week to learn something new, to improve on a certain skill that I have. It could be negotiation, it could be sales, it could be communication. But to be a lifelong learner just means that you prioritize a certain number of hours every week to your own personal development. Okay.
How many hours do you invest per week in order to improve as a productivity consultant?
I do about 5 hours a week. I'm a very avid reader, and my wife laughs at me because I have my morning coffee with YouTube. So I listen to some podcasts. Everybody from Simon Sinek to some other podcasts. I love watching the TED channel. I love reading. So yeah, I sometimes will, most days, for at least 3 or 4 days a week. I'll start my morning with my cup of coffee and I'll turn on YouTube, and while I'm having coffee, I'm watching TED Talks and I'm getting ideas, and I'm going, sometimes you hear something or you read something and you're like, oh wow, that's something that I can put into my business. This guy's talking about, what is my business is why. Well, let me take a look at my why and let me see if I can refine it a little bit better, based on his guidance. So I'm definitely a lifelong learner, and I will tell you I probably do about 5 hours a week.
Okay, sounds great because a lot of people ask me about these habits on a
Mhm.
weekly basis. What do you do with all of this stuff? Do you just start to learn or to listen a podcast? And what do you do again or next? Or Do you write mental models? Do you write your summary? What do you do with all of this stuff?
So I do different things. If I hear something really practical, that I'm like, I'm gonna save that one. Uh, Personally, I use Microsoft OneNote, and I'll make myself a little note. Hey, if it's something that is like an idea or something, I might write it down in a notebook that I have. Actually, it's right here. I might write it down in a notebook just for future reference. Um, so different things. If I have some YouTube channels that I subscribe to, the vlogs, like the TED Talks and stuff like that, that I'm like, I get notified every time that there's a new video, and then I look, oh, what is it about? Do I really want to see that one? Do I want to invest 10 minutes or whatever it is in watching that video? So I do different things with different pieces of media.
Okay, tell me about it. If you have, for example, a mentorship session with a CEO
Hmm.
and a mentorship session with a beginner, maybe a student, uh, what do you advise her to a CEO in order to be more performance or more productive in his or her field? And what is the best advisor to a beginner in the same question?
So I'll start with a beginner because a lot of beginners I give the same advice to. And that advice is to become a lifelong learner, right? Learn why you perform the way you perform, learn what it is that you need to improve as far as what is expected of you, and learn to be a seeker or a researcher of ways to get there. Okay. And my when I coach some CEOs and business owners and people that are on boards, what I try to coach them many times is asking questions, right? Questions are the key. Measuring, performance, measuring results, refining those standards over time, and just being comfortable with asking questions of their direct reports, regardless of how uncomfortable they may be asking some of those questions. Um, so that's kind of the approach that I take.
I think it's a hard question because a lot of clients ask me about how can we help our CEO to improve the company and himself as well. And
Hmm.
for that reason, I ask you, okay. On the other hand, I want to ask you something. If I want to improve my learning path, because I am responsible of learning in the company, what is the best way to interconnect, to intertwine virtual learning and traditional learning? What do you think is the best way to intertwine? Is there a mixture, a percentage? What do you think about it?
So the best way that I can answer that question is that there are some learning opportunities that you can only get through traditional means, right? I'll give you an example, right? There are some learning and development conferences that, in order for you to really get some of the benefit of attending the conference, it's not just about going and listening to speakers, but one of the things that I like about conferences is that you can talk to the speaker after, at a breakfast, at a lunch. You can get their business card, you can get their contact information, you can connect with them on LinkedIn and continue to ask them questions about their presentation. You know, that's a learning opportunity, attending a conference, that if you plan for it, like who you want to meet, what presentation, let me see the menu of the presentations that are going to be delivered, who do I want to see, and kind of have in your mind already, why am I interested in this topic. And I try and when I go to conferences, I try and connect with the speaker after their presentation, so that I can continue the dialogue and asking those questions. Now, some of those speakers, they it turns out when you go on their websites, they also do webinars. You know, so again, sometimes you may get an opportunity to learn via technology, via a webinar, or if they have a podcast or a blog or something like that. But some opportunities, like conferences, and there are some live in-person training, that are 2 or 3 days in length. That that particular experience of going to a traditional classroom, live, and there's something to be said for interacting with the other students in the class that may also be facing similar challenges to what you are facing, that you can connect with and interact. That those opportunities are very, very difficult to mirror in a virtual environment.
Okay, so in your point of view, the idea is to intertwine Nimble Academy with a traditional learning process. Is that correct?
Exactly. Take a hybrid approach. Exactly.
Okay, that's right. Sounds great. And I have two last questions for you today.
Sure.
I really, really love my guest in this Change TV, but I need to finish this episode with two questions.
Hmm.
If I want to talk about future, tell me about emerging technologies. What emerging technologies do you think that we need to introduce in our lifelong learning process in our companies?
Well, the emerging technology, I guess you could say, of 2023 is the coming of age of artificial intelligence and AI, and these large language models and machine learning. All of these new technologies that are really coming of age this year are going to have an impact that we cannot even begin to measure in the future, right now. So I would say, that technology, and companies of, all stripes in every industry are currently looking at, okay, wow, we have now this generative technology, chat gpt, for example. How can we leverage that to improve the productivity of our employees? Google just did a presentation a couple days ago, which I saw on YouTube while I was having my morning coffee, where they laid out their roadmap for incorporating AI into their entire set of tools, from Google Drive to their cloud to their products like Gmail and Google Sheets and Google Docs, and how the AI is going to perform things for you that were, not able to do that just even a few years ago, because the technology wasn't ready. So I would say, that technology is going to be, it is going to accelerate this era of exponential change that we were talking about, and it's going to happen very, very fast.
Okay. And my last question, someone asked me a couple of days ago about it. If I want to improve or scale in the company,
Hmm.
what do you think is the best way? As a manager or as a leader? It's a hard question, but tell me about your opinion.
I mean, if I believe, and this is, I guess, my personal philosophy, but I believe a manager has to lead. You're going to get more employees to follow you if you are a good leader than if you are a old school traditional manager. Do what I say, or there's going to be consequences. You're going to get more performance out of your employees using honey than using a carrot, or than using a stick. So I would say it's important that managers recognize that leadership is a part of their job roles, and that they have to develop their leadership skills if they want to grow in the organization.
Thank you, Alex. And the bonus track. If I want
Yes.
to give a book about productivity or performance, what book do I need to gift?
There's a book by a gentleman. His name is Thomas Gilbert, and the name of the book is Human Competence. That book is widely viewed or credited with launching a whole field of study on what's called HPT, Human Performance Technology. I would say that book, I have it in my library, and I would say every month or two, I go back to it and I'm like, God, what did he mean by that? That book is the foundation of human performance technology, and it's called Human Competence, by Thomas Gilbert.
Thank you for your advisor. I love your the conversation because you are very, very, very specific in order to improve in a step by step, and I really love it. So, Alex, thank you for this episode. Thank you for your advisors.
My
and
pleasure.
Thank you for your time because I really appreciate. And a lot of clients ask me if someone wants to connect with you. What is the best way to connect with you?
Sure, either through my email, or I have a form on my website, bynimble.com. That's bynimble.com. You can just send me a message through there, and I will respond within 24 hours.
Thank you. And how do you feel?
I feel great. It's a good day here in Miami.
Okay, it's a good day here in Bogota as well. So thank you, Alex, and thank you all of our guests and our entrepreneurs or managers or leaders that listen to this Change TV. Thank you and see you later.
Take care.